What happened to Uriah Heep?
The band Uriah Heep was formed in 1967 by Mick Box and David Garrick, who formed a songwriting partnership and decided to give up their day jobs and go professional. They were managed initially by Newton's father, then signed by Jerry Braun, who signed them to Vertigo Records. After Ken Hensley joined in February 1970, the band decided to widen their sound by bringing in session player Colin Wood and Hensley, a former colleague of Newton and the Gods. The band Uriah Heep released their debut album, Very Evie, Very Humble, in 1970. It was not popular with rock critics, but the writing relationship between Box, Byron, and Hensley was beginning to develop. The band's second album, Salisbury, was more progressive rock and produced by Jerry Braun. In December 1970, Keith Baker left the band and was replaced by Ian Clark. The band toured Germany and made their first U.S. tour in the spring of 1971. Jerry Braun set up his label Braun's Records, and the third album, Look at Yourself, was recorded in the summer months of 1971. It peaked at number 39 in the UK. By the end of 1971, it became clear that Hensley, Byron, and Box had become the tightly knit nucleus of the band. Paul Newton left in November of 1971 and was briefly replaced by Mark Clark. Gary Thane joined Uriah Heep as a permanent member in February 1972. The result of this newly founded chemistry was the album Demons and Wizards, which reached number 20 in the UK and number 23 in the US in June 1972. Two singles were released from the album, The Wizard and Easy Living. Easy Living charted at number 39 on the Billboard Hot 100 and was Uriah Heep's only top 40 hit in the US Billboard Hot 100. 6 months later, in November 1972, Uriah Heep's fifth studio album, The Magician's Birthday, came out with Sweet Lorraine released as an American single, and the title track being the album's highlight. Sweet Lorraine charted at number 91 on the Billboard Hot 100. Hensley developed into a sophisticated instrumentalist and stage persona, whose writing and keyboard flair ignited the rest of the band. Uriah Heep recorded a lavishly packaged double album, Uriah Heep Live, in January 1973. After completing another Japan tour, the band went abroad once again to record at Chateau d'Heuville in France. Sweet Freedom was created with Stealing released as a single. Sweet Freedom reached number 18 on the UK charts and number 33 on the Billboard 200. Ken Hensley had been gradually recording his own more mellow material. His solo debut, Proud Words on a Dusty Shelf, was released the same year. Wonderworld from June 1974, recorded in Munich's Musicland studios in January, disappointed fans and band members alike. Gary Thane was in even more serious trouble when he received a serious electric shock on stage in Dallas during a gig at a Southern Methodist University's Moody Coliseum on September 15, 1974. He then accused manager Jerry Braun of having turned Uriah Heep into a mere financial thing, and was fired 2 months after the group's final gig of 1974. A year later, Gary Thane was found dead in his Norwood Green home, having overdosed. John Wheaton joined Uriah Heep in March 1975, and with him, Return to Fantasy was recorded. The following year-long tour was marred by a new accident, with Mick Box falling off stage in Louisville, Kentucky on August 2, 1975, breaking the radial bone in his right arm. John Wheaton had an accident of his own on March 26, 1976 at Roy Wilkins Auditorium in St. Paul, Minnesota. In November 1975, the Best of Uriah Heep compilation was released, preceded by 2 solo albums. Byron's debut, Take No Prisoners, and Hensley's second, Eager to Please. High and Mighty followed in June 1976. It was considered lightweight, and the matter of production became the point of major contention. The album was almost lavish, but was not matched with the quality of live concerts, which were increasingly chaotic due to Byron's inconsistency on stage. In July 1976, after the final show of a Spanish tour, Byron was sacked and bassist John Whedon announced he was quitting. Uriah Heep recruited bassist Trevor Bolder, who used to play for David Bowie and Mick Ronson, and they also had John Lawton, formerly of Lucifer's Friend and the Les Humphreys Singers, with whom they turned away from fantasy-oriented lyrics and multi-part compositions back towards a more straightforward hard rock sound. Firefly was released in February 1977, and Innocent Victim was released in November 1977. The single Free Me became an international hit and sold over 1 million copies in Germany. 3 Uriah Heep singles seen together in the German top 20 were Wise Man, Lady in Black, and Free Me. At the end of 1978, Fallen Angel came out, having completed a hat-trick of studio albums to feature a consistent lineup. Uriah Heep had a major rift between Ken Hensley and Lawton, with John Sloman being brought in as a new singer. Lee Kerslake departed after a row with Braun, who the drummer accused of favoritism towards Henley's material. Conquest LP was released in February 1980 and received 5 stars from Record Mirror. In September 1980, Hensley quit due to a songwriting dissent. Greg Deckert, a Canadian who had worked with Sloman and Pulsar, came in and the band went on a 23-date tour of the UK. After that, Sloman left, citing musical differences. When Deckert left, Uriah Heep was down to just Mick Box with the name in contract. Peter Golby had once auditioned for Uriah Heep and failed, ironically Hensley being the only band member who has supported him as a choice. Abominog was released in March 1982 and won favor with the critics. Head First was released in May 1983 and was produced by Ashley Howe. Daisley left Uriah Heep's album Equator in March 1985, and the album ended up selling poorly due to CBS's failure to get it into the shops. John Sinclair quit, and keyboardist Phil Lanzon came in. Steph Fontaine was criticized for being unprofessional and was sacked in September 1986. Uriah Heep's lineup remained unchanged from 1986 until 2007, with veteran Mick Box at the helm, Trevor Bolder on the bass, Lee Kerslake on drums, Bernie Shaw and Phil Lanzon on keyboards. In December 1987, they became the first Western rock band to play in the Soviet Union, playing 10 consecutive nights to a total of 180,000 people. Raging Silence, produced by Richard Dodd and released in May 1989, was followed by a return to the Soviet Union, concerts in Poland, East Berlin, 6 dates in Brazil, and another British tour. The band played in the Central TV Studios in Nynham on November 29, 1989, and celebrated its 20th anniversary with a series of compilations and reissues. Different World, produced by Trevor Bolder and released early in 1991, got a mixed reception from the press and sold poorly. Touring incessantly, the band issued some compilations. In late March, early April 1995, John Lawton briefly rejoined Uriah Heep for 2 weeks to tour South Africa and Austria with Deep Purple. The album Sea of Light was well received and is seen as the band's return to form. Sonic Origami was released in 1998 and was followed by a successful European tour. The band released The Legend Continues DVD and then toured the UK. A reunion gig with Ken Hensley and John Lawton took place in London on December 7, 2001 in the course of the Magician's birthday party. Earlier in 2001, the group embarked on its first U.S. tour in 7 years and returned the following year to headline both nights of Classic Rock Productions. which was in the Patriot Theater in the Trenton War Memorial in Trenton, New Jersey. For most of the years that followed, Uriah Heep has returned to Britain for a tour of just their annual showcase concert, The Magician's Birthday Party. Uriah Heep was managed by Mick Box until 2005 when they retained Simon Porter as their manager. In early 2007, drummer Lee Kerslick had to leave the group due to ill health. In March of that year, the band recruited Russell Gilbrook as their new drummer and immediately started recording a new studio album entitled Wake the Sleeper. October 2009, Uriah Heep released their 40th anniversary album, Celebration 40 Years of Rock, containing new studio recordings of 12 of their best-known tracks plus 2 brand new songs. A United States tour for June-July 2010 was delayed due to immigration problems, and Uriah Heep performed live on the progressive rock stage at the inaugural High Voltage Festival in London's Victoria Park in 2010. They released their 22nd studio album, Into the Wild, on April 15, 2011 in Europe, via Frontier Records. Bassist Trevor Bolder died on May 21, 2013 after suffering from pancreatic cancer. British bassist John Jowett came in temporarily, followed by David Remmer. Uriah Heep toured the Netherlands, Germany, Austria, Italy, and Switzerland in May 2013, with John Lawton covering for Bernie Shaw. In January 2014, they began recording their 23rd studio album, Outsider, which was released in June 2014. In March 2015, they went on to the Down Under tour, visiting Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, Adelaide, Brisbane, and Auckland. In September 25th, they announced the release of their greatest hits album, Totally Driven. In 2016, Stefan Berggren subbed for Bernie Shaw on lead vocals at the Rosenheim Festival in Germany, and again later that same year for a New Year's Eve festival in Romania. In 2017, it was reported that Uriah Heep would begin recording their 24th studio album titled Living the Dream with producer Jay Rustin. The album was released on September 14, 2018, and the band was set to embark on a world tour in support of it that would take them into 2019. 2 former Uriah Heep members died in 2020. Lee Kerslick after a long cancer battle on September 19th, and Ken Hensley after a short illness on November 4th. They had each recorded solo albums before they had passed away, and they would later be released in early 2021. Another former member of Uriah Heep, vocalist John Lawton, died on June 29, 2021 at the age of 74. On January 27, 2023, Uriah Heep released its 25th studio album, Chaos and Color, which was preceded by the 2 singles, Save Me Tonight and Hurricane. And that's what happened to Uriah Heep. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what is your favorite era of Uriah Heep, and give me some facts that I failed to mention. Thanks for watching, let me know who I should do next, and I'll see you in the next video.